welcome to this episode of The Daily. My name is Brendan Malone. Well, the Oscars have been and gone, and you know this is a very serious occasion because I've even put on a jacket for this episode of The Daily. But today on this episode, what I want to do really quickly is I want to respond to what I think are three persistent myths that have, in the last couple of years, have really started to crop up whenever the Oscars roll around. So the first myth is this, that the Oscars do not take action movies seriously. I'm not sure where this idea came from. I think it's probably because not a lot of action movies have actually received Oscar awards. So the assumption is that the Academy doesn't take action movies seriously. But I don't think that's a very good way of determining whether or not they take those movies seriously. If you actually go back and look at the history of the Oscars, then guess what? You discover that throughout over several decades, a lot of action movies have actually received nominations for the Best Picture Oscar, and that's the most coveted Oscar each year. So you've got Star Wars, which was nominated. You've got Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark was nominated. This year you have Mad Max Fury Road. So I think it's clear if you look at the actual history of the Oscars, the Academy does take action movies seriously if they're good enough. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that they're then good enough to win the actual big prize, but the fact that they're nominating movies and nominating them as finalists means they do give them enough credit to actually consider them awards worthy. Second myth is the whole issue of racial diversity and is there enough of it in relation to the Oscars. Now, I think this is a really complex subject. I mean, first of all, the first question that springs to mind is when you say there's a lack of diversity, do you mean in the actual filmmakers and actors who are receiving awards, or in the subject matter of the films that are receiving nominations and awards? Because if you actually look at subject matter, which I think is quite a telling factor, then you'd have to say there isn't really a diversity issue. Last year, Selma, which is the movie all about Martin Luther King and the incident at Selma, civil rights struggle and a very important incident that took place, was nominated, was one of the finalists for Best Picture Oscar. The year before, I think it was, or 2 years before that, 12 Years a Slave actually won the Best Picture. It's all about slavery in America. The year before that, Django Unchained, which is a movie, yeah, sure, it's made by a white guy, but this is a film in which the lead hero is a black man, and he ends the film by killing a whole lot of white guys. And there's only one sympathetic white guy in that movie. Every other white character in that film, Django Unchained, is either a vile, evil racist or a dumb, ignorant racist. So I don't think there is this issue that people are claiming. I think the bigger question, and I think this is where the focus really should lie. I read an article about this the other day where someone was saying, look, the Academy can only work with the content that they are given. In other words, what's being made, and it's being the stuff that's quality enough to actually award. So the question is really, is Hollywood actually funding enough diverse content that can therefore end up in front of the Academy Awards Board? And I think that's a more important question. The last thing I think that's worthy of debunking about the Oscars is this idea that they are somehow some sort of infallible and all-important objective guide to what makes a movie a quality film or not. A lot of people just don't realise, because there's such a mystique about the Oscars, I think because we like movies so much, they're such a sort of pop cultural phenomenon, that the awards, the industry awards ceremonies for movies, it resonates with us a lot more, and it's going to have a lot more popularity. But at the end of the day, all it is a group of people from inside the industry giving their industry awards. It doesn't really, it's not infallible, and it certainly isn't objective. It's very, very subjective. For example, a couple of years ago, the movie Argo, which had a lot of hype about it, won the Academy Award for Best Picture. I've got that movie in my collection. It's a nice little self-contained movie. It's a good example of filmmaking. But it's nothing startling. And you watch that movie now, away from all the hype, and you realise, how the heck did this manage to actually get an Oscar? Because it's nothing that really is unique. It's not creatively different. It doesn't touch you or move you in some new way that you've never seen before. It's just a nice little movie. Several decades ago, well, not decades ago, several years before that, the movie Forrest Gump won the Best Picture Award. Forrest Gump is by no means a perfect movie, but I think the reason it won the award was because it told a nice little tale, and more importantly, it hit a whole lot of key nostalgia points that really resonated with people. But in 50 years' time, I don't think people are going to be appreciating Forrest Gump that much at all. I'm not even convinced it'll be on many people's radar. However, one movie that it did manage to beat, which was Shawshank Redemption, I think will still be very popular and will still be being watched by people because it has a universal quality to it. So the Oscars, while they're great and we all love them, the reality is they are not an objective or infallible guide to filmmaking. They're simply an industry award. And at the end of the day, there's such a highly subjective area, what movie is the best movie, that you could have 10 people go into the same film and come out with 10 different answers about what they thought was great or bad or, good and different or whatever about that film. So it's going to be pretty hard for a small group of people, even industry insiders, to actually put together a reliable and infallible list of films. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. Don't panic. It's just an industry award night. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily.